Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Hopefully you guys are doing amazing, well, tremendous, extravagant, outstanding, any other adjectives, whatever you want to add into that. But yes, we're back with another F1 video. Why Carman Jorda was so controversial. So, if you guys have not checked out yesterday, we did go over, why aren't there any women in F1. If you want to check that out, I'll probably put it in the description after this video. But should be on the channel. Go and check that out. Just did yesterday, so it's not hard to find. But we don't really know too much about her, and a lot of you guys did recommend this video. Shout out to y'all again. So we are finna check it out. We are finna see Carmen, see what she's talking about, see what it's on, and why it was so controversial. So anyway, don't forget to like the video and sub as well if you're new to the channel. Also turn on your post notifications so you know when your boy is going live or uploading or whatever. Anyway, without further ado, let's go and get started and see what it's talking about.
In a sport that's dominated by males, it's great to see women break barriers. We've seen that with drivers such as Michelle Mouton.
And also, referring back to yesterday, I know, I think when y'all say, they can't do what the men do, stuff like that. I don't listen. If they're good enough to, compete, they should compete. That's just me. If you are good enough, you should be competing in F1. I don't care if you're a freaking 10, 12, 15, 25, 60. If you're good enough and it shows and you are beating men and then F3, F2, whatever, shit, you should be you deserve to have a chance at F1. Listen, we see some dog shit drivers, aka we got Mazepin right now, and we have Mahever. So listen, you know what I mean. But it is good to see that a lot. I do know girls, some girls do watch this. Sorry, I am ranting. If you want to skip all this, just get to the video. I do know some of you girls, they come down below. You guys have like groups, stuff like that. Major ups to you guys. So happy to hear about that, see about that. Keep doing what y'all doing. Hey, it's not just a guy-dominated sport.
Jenna Guthrie, Pat Moss,
and
so on.
The girls watch F1 too.
The narrative that women could not be successful in motorsport.
Shout out to all F1 girl channels on YouTube. Shout out to y'all, man.
We need
Alright, I'm done now. I'm done. I ran. That was about like a 2-3 minute intro.
There are other drivers. If you've watched my video on Michelle Mouton, you might remember that I briefly covered someone else in that piece. A driver by the name of Carman Jorda. Now I use the word driver euphemistically. You want me to be more honest, don't you? Well, let me tell you a story.
Shout out to Josh again. Big man Josh.
And even before starting this, I realized I pronounced her name wrong. It's Jorda.
Hey, I was right. Carman Jorda.
Karts in her native Spain. Jorda began her foray into racing cars in 2005, driving in the Master Junior Formula Series. She had a relatively quiet season, finishing P7 in the standings, albeit with no wins, no pole positions, no podiums, or whatever. But hey, it's her first season in cars. Gotta give her some leeway.
That's good though.
In the same championship again for the next season, and it got worse. Despite these results, she would transition over to the Formula 3 Championship in Spain for 2007, driving in both the main and Copa F300 series. She drowned quite badly in both of them, although she would finish 4th in the Copa F300 series, with 3 podiums to her credit. Granted, the grid was pretty damn light, but that was the hand she was dealt. Despite a move to Campos for the next season, Jorda's 2008 campaign in the Spanish Championship was even worse. Still nowhere in the main championship and finished P8 in the standings.
Dang.
This paled in comparison to her teammate Natasha Gachnan, who won the Copa Series and finished 3rd overall in the Spanish F3 series.
Oh, she's good.
That
Natasha
was impressive. Can't say that Jorda's results were all that inspirational, not gonna lie. Yeah, numero tres in the same series, and Jorda is now... You know what, I might as well cut to the chase here. The results were still not very bloody good. But of course, after having spent 3 years in the series, it was time to move on, venturing over to the United States to compete in the Indy Lights series. Maybe this will provide the opportunity for her to demonstrate her worth. So she signed with Anderson Racing for the 2010 season, and her results were pretty bad, qualifying in the back at every event that she did. She oftentimes drowned in comparison. It became a limited schedule after withdrawing from Indianapolis for whatever reason. So not a great first...
So early on, it's not really a good start for Carmen. She's struggling, dead last. You know what I mean? Her teammates better than her, Natasha. She's struggling. She's struggling. But hopefully, it changes. People call me, gotta wait. Hopefully, it changes.
Few years in motor racing, but honestly there are plenty of those around, and there have definitely been worse. Important thing really is that she doesn't try and forge a path to Formula 1. After a year out of the cockpit, she would sign on to race in GP3, the feeder series for Formula 1. She entered the 2012 season with Ocean Racing Technology. It wasn't the greatest racing team on the grid, but they would be able to give her a car good enough to qualify for the events. Can you see where this is going? Her pace throughout the year was pretty abysmal, and this all came to a head when, at the Silverstone round, she qualified outside the 107% time that was required to qualify for the event. The officials gave her no leeway, thus she officially did not qualify for a GP3 event. Let that sink in. Results hardly improved throughout the year, finishing 28th in the standings, with no points to her name.
Damn!
But hey, I get it. She's not in a brilliant team, it's her first year in the game, I'll forgive her the bad results. Provided next year's would be better, of course. She remained in GP3 for 2013, this time teamed up with Bamboo Engineering. Her teammates Lewis Williamson and Melvin McKee achieved some podiums that year, with McKee achieving a win at the Nürburgring. Jorda's results meanwhile were, not brilliant, and something that could probably highlight this was what happened at the last round. Both Williamson and McKee would not race at Yas Marina, although Jorda would be joined by Alice Powell, a fantastic racer in her own right. Straight out of the gate, Powell was worlds ahead of Jorda on pace, like literally seconds ahead. She finished at the bottom of the points that year, again with no points. She returned for one more season in 2014. Results typically remained the same, as in they were at the bottom of the timing sheets, and by a fair margin. There was even a circumstance at Spa, where her fastest time in the feature race was almost 20 seconds slower than the fastest time. 20 seconds. That isn't normal. With 2 rounds remaining, Jorda was booted from the team, or she lost funding, or whatever, and was replaced with Dean Stoneman, who went on to win 2 races in the remaining couple of rounds. So after multiple years of racing, Jorda had pretty much no results to speak of in anything that she raced, constantly down the back of the pack, an alarmingly long way behind on pace, even after multiple years in the same category. The next step therefore was more than obvious. Formula 1. Yeah. That's right. In February 2015, Jorda was announced as a development driver for the Lotus Formula 1 team.
How? No offense, but she sucks. She sucks. How is she? How? She was finishing with 0 points. Not showing any type of improvement during the years. How did she get to Lotus as a development driver? She hasn't been good. Look at it.
Where she was touted to be working within the simulator program and would have a run in an actual F1 car at some point during that year. And the reaction to this signing was certainly strong. Former GP3 teammate Robert Cregan said that Jorda couldn't develop a roll of film, let alone a hybrid Formula 1 car. And Mitch Evans, who a couple years prior had won the GP3 series, tweeted at Lotus F1 that it's not April 1st yet. Were these comments harsh? Well, no. However, the more prominent critic of everyone involved in this was the head of the FIA's Women in Motorsport Commission, Michelle Mouton. You know, the rally trailblazer who almost won the World Rally Championship back in 1982. The driver who took on the titans of Group B rallying and beat them. Someone who can really drive. She described Jorda as a marketing gimmick and said that drivers such as Simona De Silvestro and Danica Patrick would be better choices for a role within a Formula 1 team. And that is totally fair, given that both Simona and Danica had proven to be decent on the IndyCar scene, which isn't exactly starved of talented drivers. And Simona had experience in Formula 1 machinery, having come off of being a Sauber development driver. Meanwhile, Jorda is struggling to stay within range of the second to last place car in GP3. Jorda spoke of her surprise at Mouton's comments, saying, "I haven't had a chance to tell her what is my program. She had good achievements in rallying, and she gave us a reason to believe in motorsport, but I don't think rallying is the same as Formula 1. So it really surprised me. Yeah, you know what, Carmen? Rally isn't the same as Formula 1.
At all. This is interesting. She hasn't shown anything.
So you dare imply that rallying isn't in the same league? Maybe I've taken these comments the wrong way, but whatever the case, Jorda's position within the team was indisputably a political one, not one down to results, because, like, what results? Now, at this stage, having Jorda in the role as a simulator driver was a tough pill to swallow, but it was kinda a harmless situation, as long as she, you know, didn't say something stupid. So in April that year, Jorda had voiced her opinion that there should be a separate championship for women, stating that it's not fair that women have to compete in the same championship as men, because they're never going to become world champion, and that she thought that women deserved that chance. 2 words, Carmen: Michelle Mouton. You remember her, right? And of course, other female racing drivers echoed the resentment against her comments. However, all the while, she did have one vocal supporter behind her, F1 Supremo, Bernie Eccleston, who said that Jorda was very good.
You are a senile, buck-toothed old mummy.
We asked Lotus to see, and she is...
That's cat. Based off what? Based off what? Good at what? Looking good? I'll give her that. Hey, she look good. No cap. She look good. But she's not good when it comes to racing. At all. At all.
Done a good job for them. She wants to be in Formula 1. We have to try and find the right way. But she's not alone. There are plenty of other people. Oy vey. She remained with the team through to 2016, when it underwent the rebranding from Lotus to Renault, still working within the simulator camp, although apparently not garnering much praise from her peers. Marco Sorensen, for example, claimed that Jorda had been as much as 12 seconds off his pace in the simulator. Now, that may sound a little too hard to believe, and Jorda herself rebutted by saying that she was more or less within a second of Romain Grosjean's times. So which of these two are we going to believe?
Somebody's
I ain't
capping.
saying anything, but one of them is clearly lying.
Yeah, somebody's
and the other is
capping.
Marco Sorensen. In reality, the Sorensen article comes from a source notorious for sensationalizing news stories. But Jorda's racing record hardly supports her claim that she was capable of being within a second of a GP2 champion. Well, whatever the case, she would make a return to racing in 2016, driving in the Renault Sport Trophy Series. Despite being a Formula 1 development driver, she would be placed in the amateur class. Not that the series was completely filled with bums, but it shouldn't be too hard to get results. Her best race finish that year was 8th in her class, and she finished P9 in the amateur standings. She didn't see the year out, and to this day, she has not raced in anything of note. She came close to competing in the inaugural W Series, a series set up solely for female drivers, although she fell short of a hurdle that catches out a great many young racing driver: money. She also tested a Formula E car in Mexico at the end of 2018, although bringing up Formula E when it comes to Jorda unearths another problematic comment of hers. At some stage that year, she voiced her opinion that women should aim for Formula E instead of Formula 1, calling it less physical and an easier goal for them to attain. Maybe she would have arrived at that conclusion having driven a Formula E car that was a Gen 1 version fitted with power steering, no? Well, after this enlightened comment, other drivers came out with some, shall we say, criticism of said comment. She later issued an apology, saying that her comments were a reflection of her own personal experience, which is completely deranged. Not only is she pissing on the legacy of drivers such as Lella Lombardi and Desiree Wilson, not only is she degrading the caliber of Formula E drivers, but we're also meant to be encouraging the next crop of racing drivers coming through, not discouraging them, especially with someone like Jorda, who in December 2017 was appointed to the FIA's Women in Motorsport Commission. As you may have guessed, very few people were happy with the decision. There were plenty of women out there killing it on the racing scene. Meanwhile, they appointed a driver slower than a sloth in mud to represent them all. Of course, now, Jorda isn't really racing anything. At least, nothing of note. So why bring this issue up? Well, it's not so much about Jorda's racing career, but about what she has represented. There have been plenty of crap racing drivers over the years, and we've just got used to laughing at them. But when we're trying to encourage more diversity in the sport, the last thing we need is for some bimbo to come in and completely tear that narrative down. Her results were dreadful, but you know something? In her racing career, while she was drowning on dry land, she had raced against the likes of Natasha Gutschnan, who was a championship contender in Spanish F3 and won the Copper Championship that Jorda herself couldn't even get a podium in. She couldn't do much of anything in Indy Lights.
That's her
Yet the
teammate,
very
right?
Same year, Pipperman won at Kentucky. The 2013 GP3 teammate Alice Powell, a champion in the British and Asian Formula Renault Championships. Honestly, there's so many better examples of women in motorsport, and yet this one almost got as high as anyone could go in motorsport. And that's messed up. Oh, by the way, last week I had this giveaway for an insanely good print by Go for the Gap. I want to thank everyone for joining in on this, but overall, it was won by this chap. If your name is...
Did I say Prince Maheaver? I think I meant Lord Maheaver, my bad.
One, but you're still keen on these prints? They're available on the Go for the Gap Etsy store. Link in the description, which I would highly recommend. I guess this is the end of the video.
Dude, she's dog shit. How she just kept getting ranks, and then you talking about Formula One needs to have a women's, league, then come back and say the main goal for women drivers is Formula E. Not even Formula 3, not even Formula 2, not even Formula freaking 1. You're saying the goal should be for Formula E? What's good with her? My guy, like, oh my God. I can see why she's so controversial. Because she sucks and she just makes stupid comments. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Anyway, don't forget to like the video and sub as well. Comment down below your thoughts and reactions. We'll see you guys later.